Hi, I'm Jack Briglio, co-creator of Asteroid Adrift, and you're listening to the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Jack Briglio about bringing his graphic novel ThunderBoom and more to Toronto Comicon 2024. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Toronto Comicon is a spectacular 3-day sci-fi, horror, anime, gaming, and comic book event in Canada that attracts thousands of people to come to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Currently residing in Nepean, Ontario, Jack Briglio is a writer of the Eisner-nominated fantasy adventure series Growing Up Enchanted for Marcosia. He's also the creator of Dominion Jack, a serial in the Joe Shuster-nominated Canadian superhero anthology series True Patriot Presents for Chapter House Publishing. Jack has worked on Scooby-Doo and Legion of Superheroes in the 31st Century for DC Comics, Sesame Street Comics for Sesame Street Workshop, and Archie's Friend Scarlet for Archie Comics. The ThunderBoom graphic novel is his latest work for Kids Can Press. Jack's newest project is Asteroid Adrift from Marcosia. So without further ado, here's my chat with Jack Briglio about bringing his graphic novel ThunderBoom and more to Toronto Comicon 2024. So Jack Briglio, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Before I get going with all the questions, I would like to know, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
Let's see. Couple of books that I just finished, well, in the midst of reading, I guess, that I like to call out. One by Matt Kint, Subgenre. I started reading that series. Part of his, I think, his Flux label series of books through Dark Horse. I really love Matt's stuff, going back Mind Management, and even before Mind Management, a lot of his books are connected character-wise, and it's just all. His stories are so fun, and he's such a great artist too when he draws his own thing, but he collaborates with some great artists as well. So this one, Subgenre, is quite good, and I'm enjoying that one. Another one is Greg Rucka's latest book, The Forged. I finally caught up on that. I think there's about 6 issues of that. And actually, both of these are kind of like magazine-sized books, which is not your typical format for comics, but kind of like the oversized format. Art looks fantastic on it. And yeah, that one's more of a hardcore sci-fi story. The Forged, really enjoying it. If you're a fan of Greg Rucka's work, going through Lazarus and of course all the DC and so that's like Marvel stuff that he's done. Big fan of Lazarus. So The Forged, I thought I'd try. And really, really enjoying that series as well. So those are a couple of that new series that relatively new, anyways, that I've been trying the past 6 months that I'm enjoying.
Good to hear. Good to hear. It's tough to find time to read books these days, but I'm glad you're getting through it. So that's terrific.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we're talking today because you're tabling at Toronto Comicon. So with that in mind, I'd like to know, what is it about going to conventions that you like the most?
Yeah, meeting people there and, just getting to talk about comics. I really enjoy the interactions with people that pass by. Obviously, I want people to buy my books. That's always nice to get new readers that come in. But love, seeing old friends, new friends at the show, and, or getting to know people a little more at the show. And then just people who have read my books and, use that opportunity to come to the table and tell me that, how much they enjoyed it or maybe didn't enjoy it, whatever the case may be, giving me feedback on it. It's always nice to see. There are a lot of friends that you happen to only see when you go to shows too, right? So it's kind of nice seeing that. I mean, shows when I was younger was a lot more about going through, not only tabling at these events, but trying to get as much of the show experience out of it. I don't do that as much anymore because I just can't keep up with it anymore and can't do all the things. But I usually stay at the table or nearby and just just enjoy the interactions with folks, whether it's fellow creators around me or fans or hopefully new fans that come up and I get to talk to them. So yeah. Yeah, it's just it's good, especially for creatives who are always at home working on stuff. It's nice getting out there and getting a feel, hearing the buzz, people talking about hopefully your books, but other books too, and just
Sure.
it really the energy is quite you always feel quite very energized after leaving a show because there's so much good vibes and a lot of positivity out of these shows, right? So
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, for sure. Now, with that in mind, I'm wondering, because you've been to a lot of conventions and festivals in the past, do you have any favorite moments, memorable moments that stand out?
For me, the first shows are always ones that I think the first shows that I've gone to are the ones that are most memorable to me. Maybe like the first San Diego Comic-Con I went to, where I was trying to get my name out there. First New York Comic-Con that I went to, where that was around the time when I was working for DC. So that has a lot of good memories because it was one of those cons was around the time that I did get my first sold work at DC Comics. So that New York Comic Con is connected to the meetings I had at DC. That has really good memories to me as well. So those kind of first, right? First San Diego Comic Con is so big. First New York Comic Con, which was connected to the DC work that I did all those years back. My first DC work anyway. Those are nice memories. And even locally going into Canada, like the first shows that I went to here, Ottawa was never really a big Comic Con place at the start. Anyways, now we have shows here, but back at the beginning, really Toronto was the place to go to shows. So I remember those first Toronto shows fondly, and mainly because there was lots of indie and big name artists that were brought there, and some. It's also where I met first editors and people eventually that I'd be friends with and collaborate with later on in those early shows. So I have good memories of those smaller shows before the shows got so much bigger and so much more. It expanded so much to include so many other things, not just comics, because back then those shows were strictly comics and now they're pop culture and so much more. So
Right.
those are the ones that I kind of look back in fondness now that I've, probably been doing these shows for, over 20 years, I guess,
Oh
around
my.
there.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely some good memories and,
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of good memories there for sure. So we were talking about Toronto Comic Con. I'm wondering if you could talk about what you'll be showcasing at your table while you're there.
Yeah. So this past year has been a good year for output. Anyways, a lot of new things have come out in since last May. So I think at Toronto Comic Con this will be the first time that ThunderBoom will be there. So I'm looking forward to showing off ThunderBoom there from Kids Can Press. And that's been out. Hasn't been quite a year yet. It came out in May. I've been to shows like TCAF and others, but this will be the first Toronto Comic Con where that book will be there. Same thing with the color hardcover edition of Growing Up Enchanted. That'll be the first time that Toronto will see that. So I'll be bringing that in for fans of that all ages fantasy series that I wrote. It's now in color and hardcover, that first volume. So it's nice to have that out there. My Dominion Jack stories are all out in print now through Antarctic Press. That came out latter half of the year, going to early in the new year. So I'll have all of those comics there available for anyone not familiar with my Canadian superhero. But it's, a whole bunch of stories were done digitally a few years back, and we were able to kind of remaster them and get them out in print, and they look great, and glad they're out there for more readers to pick up, with more to come as well. So I'll have some Dominion Jack material there. My newest book that is officially coming out March 25th, but I will have copies there for sale at Toronto Comic Con. It's a science fiction story out from Marcosia called Asteroid Adrift. It's a book I'm doing with co-writer Marcello Bondi and illustrator Riccardo Bevilacqua, an all-Italian creative team. We're out from Marcosia, and it's basically a science fiction love letter to Lost and The Prisoner. It's about these two characters, Hillary and James, who end up getting stranded on an asteroid after their shuttle crashes there. And they have no memory of why they're there. So it's a mystery. It's also, I think, a subtle love story as well. But it's a mystery about how they got there, what happened, and we peel the onion and unravel what the story is behind that. And really, really proud of that work. So I'm looking forward to showcasing that book as well. So yeah, a bunch of new things there that I don't think regulars of Toronto Comicon have seen. So I hope everybody will check it out when they're passed by.
Absolutely. Sounds like a lot of good stuff there, for sure, for sure. Now, speaking of coming by your table, I'm sure you've had this before, but let's just imagine that someone is going to come up to your table and they're making their first comic book and they ask you, what can you tell me about making a comic book? What would be one piece of advice that you give to this person?
Do it because you love it. Realize that it's something that's done with a team of people. It's not your vanity project, but do it that you love it. Don't do it with another agenda in mind. Like, don't think that this is your way into Hollywood and, getting your super original, super fantastic idea out there to Hollywood where you'll make millions and millions of dollars. Do it because you love it, because it's a lot of work. I know I've done lots of projects over the years, and hey, I would love for one of my ideas or stories to get so big and popular that it's everywhere. It's in Hollywood, it's in TV, it's film everywhere, animation. But worry about the story. Worry about do comics because you love comics. I think that is my biggest thing I would tell people who are thinking of getting into comics. Do it because you love it, because, there are ups and downs, but you really have to do it because you're into it, not because you have other plans that are part of it. So that I think that's the way you get your most value out of it, and probably, a stronger project at the end of the day too. So that would be
good advice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So with everything you've got on the go, both today and the future, I'm wondering where you recommend people go online to find out all about you.
So I have a website. If you go to jackbriglio.com, you can see my portfolio of work. That you can click on all the various things that I'm working on, past, present, and somewhat future. But all my materials there with links to how to get more information on the particular project, or if you want to order or buy the books, can go over to my store or Amazon, Chapters, whatever your preference is for, or your local comic shop for preference for picking up your books. So yeah, jackbriglio.com. Also, I have a newsletter. So it's roughly monthly that I put out through Substack. So jackbriglio.substack.com. That's where you can subscribe through my website, or you can go directly to that link to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. There you'll get all the latest updates from me in terms of appearances, what I'm working on, stuff I want to talk about. I also include lots of free previews and comics as well. I've been doing a little over a year and a bit now. I've showcased a lot of, unpublished things and older things that I'm now, just showing off. So, you get some comics out of it. You get to keep up to date on what I'm doing and what I'm promoting, what the latest is for me. So that's the best way to keep on top of what I'm doing. Along with, I'm also on social media at all the various spots. If social media is your thing, you can find me there too. Just look for my name and I'll be there. So those are the main spots for me.
Sounds good. Well, Jack, those are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
Maybe just close with saying I'm looking forward to seeing folks at Toronto Comicon and any future shows that I'm doing. I'll be in Toronto, but I will be doing some other ones later as well. Beyond Toronto, I am also will be doing the Calgary show, a show in Deep River, and also some shows locally here in Ottawa. So come find me at a show near you. And, through my newsletter, I will also announce any other appearances that I end up going to this year and coming on up. So, so stay tuned.
Thanks to Jack for the chat. You can discover more about Jack at jackbriglio.com and on Instagram at instagram.com/jackbriglio. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Remember to check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website. True North Country Comics is on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel and hit the notification button. Remember, you can always search for @TrueNorthCountryComics on most social media sites. And please send any and all feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2024.